My name is Laura. I'm 29 years old. I work in tech and I own my own apartment. Nothing fancy, just a one-bedroom place I worked my butt off to afford. I like my life the way it is, quiet, stable, mine, which is probably why my parents and my sister Emily think I should give it up. It started at a family dinner. Mom told me I needed to sell my apartment to pay off my sister's debt. When I refused, she called me unbelievably selfish. The next morning, I woke up to 57 missed calls. The message from my mom came in while I was at work. Laura, your sister is in serious trouble. You need to step up. Sell your apartment. I stared at my screen, rereading it. Then I replied with a single word. No. 10 seconds later, my phone buzzed again. Are you serious? Mom didn't even say hello. She's your sister, and she's drowning in debt. Sounds like her problem. Silence, then a sharp exhale. Laura, you are being unbelievably selfish right now. Ah, there it was. The magic word. Selfish. The word they used every time they wanted something from me. When have you ever helped me? I asked. Another pause. Dinner tonight. I should have said no, but I knew if I didn't go, they'd harass me for weeks. Flashback. 5 years ago. It was my first real job, barely paying enough to cover rent. Emily had just moved back home after quitting her marketing job to find herself. Mom called me one night, her voice thick with concern. Sweetheart, Emily is struggling. She doesn't even have money for gas. Could you send her something just to help her get back on her feet? I had $300 in my bank account. Rent was due in 4 days. I sent her $200. The next day, she posted an Instagram story. Fresh manicure, caramel macchiato, captioned, self-care day. When I asked her about it, she laughed. It's just money, Laura. Relax. That was the first time I realized Emily and I lived in two completely different realities. Yeah. Present day. I arrived at my parents' house. Emily was already seated, playing the role of the fragile victim, teacup in hand, eyes red, looking like she'd just returned from battle. Dad cleared his throat, setting his fork down slowly. We need to talk about your apartment. I leaned back. Do we? Mom folded her arms. Emily is in a very difficult place. Difficult, I repeated. Because she spent money she didn't have? Emily scoffed. I had no choice. I needed to maintain a certain lifestyle for work. You don't have a job. She flinched. That's not the point. Mom shot me a warning look. Laura, she needs your help. And I need to not be treated like a human ATM. Dad exhaled through his nose. It's just an apartment. You can buy another one. I stared at him. You want me to sell my home so Emily can wipe her debt clean? It's not just about that, Mom said, voice tight. It's about family. We help each other. No, I help. She takes. Emily shot up from her chair, nearly knocking it over. I hate you. And yet, I said calmly, I'm the one with an apartment. Mom grabbed her head like she was about to faint. What did we do wrong with you? I stood up and grabbed my coat. You raised the only sane person in this family. And I walked out. The messages started before I even got to my car. Mom, you've disappointed us. Dad, family is more important than money. Emily, you're a pathetic excuse for a sister. I put my phone on silent, got in my car, and drove home because I knew this was only the beginning. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls, 10 from Mom, 4 from Dad, 3 from Emily. I checked my texts. Mom, we need to talk. Dad, call your mother now. Emily, you're seriously doing this after everything I've been through? Everything she'd been through. I sat up and rubbed my face. I knew what was coming. Flashback. 3 years ago, Emily had just gotten back from a spiritual retreat in Bali. Translation: she blew through her savings on overpriced yoga classes and Instagrammable smoothie bowls. A week later, Mom called me. Sweetheart, your sister is in a rough spot. I already knew where this was going. How much? She hesitated. Just a few thousand, to cover rent until she finds work. I was making $50,000 a year at the time, barely scraping by in my tiny apartment. Meanwhile, Emily had just spent a month finding herself in tropical paradise. No, Mom gasped. No? That's right. She's your sister. And I'm not her retirement plan. The next day, Emily posted a picture at a fancy restaurant with the caption, New Beginnings. I never asked where she got the money. Present day. I went to make coffee, my phone still buzzing nonstop. Finally, I picked up. Laura! Mom's voice hit me at full volume. I pulled the phone away from my ear. Morning, Mom. Do not morning me. Do you understand what you did to your sister? I didn't give her free money. You humiliated her. I took a sip of coffee. How? She's devastated. She was up all night crying. And she's your sister. You were so cold, Laura. What happened to you? I sighed. I didn't put Emily in debt. She did that all on her own. She's struggling. So let her struggle. Maybe she'll finally learn something. Silence. Then, I hope you can live with yourself. Click. I set my phone on the counter and exhaled. 5 minutes later, a text from Dad. Come over tonight. Let's talk like adults. I already knew what that meant. They weren't done trying to wear me down. And I should have known this wasn't just going to be a talk. The second I walked into my parents' house, I felt it. The tension in the air, the way Mom was pacing, the way Dad stood with his arms crossed like he was about to lay down the law. And then I saw her. Emily, sitting on the couch, wrapped in a blanket like some tragic victim. Her eyes were red and puffy, like she'd been crying for hours. Maybe she had. It didn't change anything. I almost turned around and walked out. Sit down, Dad said, his voice low and serious. No need, I replied. I already know where this is going. Then sit down and hear us out, Mom pressed, arms folded. I sighed and sat, not because I wanted to, but because I knew if I didn't, they'd act like I never gave them a chance to explain their side. Mom jumped in immediately. Laura, we just don't understand. Why are you being so heartless? Heartless because I don't want to sell my home? It's just an apartment. It's my apartment, I said. One I worked really hard to afford. And your sister is about to lose everything. Emily sniffled dramatically, dabbing at her eyes like she was starring in a soap opera. You don't understand what it's like to be in my position, she muttered, her voice shaking just enough to sound fragile. I leaned back. Your position? You mean broke? She shot me a glare. You've never had to worry about money like I have. I actually laughed. Are you joking? I've been working since I was 16. Yeah, but you like working. I blinked. What? You like working, she repeated, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. You've always been one of those career people. I'm not like that. I need to be happy. And being responsible makes you unhappy? She folded her arms. I just think people should be able to enjoy their lives. What's the point of living if you're miserable? You weren't miserable when you were maxing out your credit cards. I didn't think it would get this bad. That's the problem, Emily. You never think. Oh my God, she snapped. You are such a smug fool. Mom clapped her hands together like she was about to deliver a verdict. Enough. We are not leaving this room until you show some compassion. I exhaled through my nose. Let me get this straight. You want me to sell my apartment so Emily, who doesn't like working, can wipe out her debt and then what? Start fresh? Mom nodded. Exactly. I turned to Emily. And what happens when you rack up more debt? Mom and Dad exchanged a look. Emily rolled her eyes. I wouldn't. Swear on your life right now that you'll never use a credit card again. Silence. That's what I thought. Dad sighed, rubbing his temples. Laura, it's not about the money. It's about family. No, I said. It's always about money. My money. Mom's face hardened. So that's it? You're just going to turn your back on us? No, I'm just finally saying no. Emily slammed her hand on the table, her face red with anger. You're unbelievably selfish after everything Mom and Dad have done for you. I tilted my head. What exactly have they done for me? They raised you! So just existing in this family means I owe you my entire future? She jumped up from the couch, fists clenched. I hope you choke on your stupid apartment, you condescending bitch. Mom gasped. Emily! No, let her talk, I said calmly. This is the real her. Emily was shaking with rage. You're dead to me. I stood up. Finally, Dad stood too, his voice low and firm. If you walk out that door, Laura, you're making a choice. I looked him dead in the eyes. No, Dad, you are. And I walked out. By the time I got to my car, my phone was blowing up. Mom, you've disappointed us. Dad, family is more important than money. Emily, I hope you never need us, because we won't be there. I stared at that last message for a long time. Then I smiled, for the first time in my life. I didn't need them. And that was the real problem, wasn't it? They needed me. And now I was done. I thought that after I walked out, they'd finally get the message. So I was wrong. 3 days later, I got an email from Mom. Subject, let's be reasonable. Laura, I don't know why you're being so cruel to your family. We raised you better than this. If you don't want to sell your apartment, fine. But at least take out a loan to help your sister. You make good money. You can afford it. Be a decent person. Love, Mom. I actually laughed out loud. They really didn't get it. I replied with exactly one sentence. No. 2 hours later, Dad called. I didn't answer. Then Emily. Ignored. Then Mom. I let it ring out. A voicemail popped up. I hit play. Laura, your father and I are trying to be patient with you, but this behavior is unacceptable. You are tearing this family apart. If you don't come to your senses, we will have no choice but to cut you off. No more invitations. No more holidays. No more family. She paused for dramatic effect. Is that really what you want? I deleted the voicemail. the smear campaign. By the end of the week, I started hearing from extended family. Aunt Carol, your mother is in tears. Call her. Cousin Jake, dude, WTF is going on? Your parents say you abandoned the family. Uncle Mike, just help your sister Laura. This is embarrassing. They were spreading this story, making it seem like I was some heartless monster who turned her back on poor, struggling Emily. I didn't respond. Then I got a message from an unknown number. I hope you're happy. Mom can't even sleep. Dad's ashamed of you. You're an absolute disgrace. It didn't take a genius to figure out who that was. I texted back. Me. New number, Emily. Cute. Lose it. Blocked. I figured things would die down. Then I got a call from my old neighbor. Hey, just a heads up. Your parents were talking to the realtor down the street. They were asking how much your place might sell for. I froze. You're kidding. Wish I was. They made it sound like you were thinking of selling. Oh, they weren't just trying to guilt me. They were trying to force me. I ended the call and immediately checked my email. There it was, a notification from my mortgage lender. We received an inquiry about refinancing options for your property. If you did not authorize this request, please contact us immediately. I sat there, gripping my phone, heart pounding. They actually tried to mess with my finances. This wasn't just about Emily's debt anymore. This was about control. I called Mom. She picked up on the first ring. Laura, thank God. Listen, we need to... Did you try to mess with my mortgage? Silence. Then, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me. We just needed to understand your options. My options? The home. You don't own my home, I said. You want me to give it up. Laura, don't be so dramatic. Dramatic? You tried to screw with my finances behind my back. She sighed. Sweetheart, we were just looking into possibilities. We thought if we could show you a better alternative. A better alternative for who? For everyone. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. We're done. What? You and Dad are cut off. Emily is cut off. I don't want to hear from you again. You don't mean that. I do. Laura, please. I hung up. Then I blocked her number. And Dad's, and every flying monkey they'd sent after me, 1 year later. Emily never paid off her debts. Mom and Dad ended up taking out a second mortgage trying to save her. Family whispers said they were struggling, cutting back, stressed, embarrassed. Me, I thrived. I got a promotion, bought a second property, built a life with zero guilt, zero expectations, and zero family drama. No more waking up to passive-aggressive texts. No more family dinners where I was treated like an ATM. No more feeling like I existed just to serve them. For the first time in my life was actually mine. Then one day, a message popped up in my inbox. Unknown number. Hey, it's Emily. Can we talk? I stared at the screen for a long moment. Then I deleted the message. Some people never change, and I was done saving them. 1 year later, I didn't expect my story to blow up like this. I posted it just to get it off my chest. But seeing how many people have been through the same thing, that hit different. A lot of you had thoughts. Some supportive, some not so much. So here's my final update. To everyone who said, good for you, Laura. Stay strong. Thank you. Truly. You have no idea how much it meant to read your comments when I was drowning in guilt. Because yeah, even after everything, the guilt still crept in sometimes. Years of conditioning don't disappear overnight. But let me tell you something. Choosing yourself, cutting off people who only take and never give, that's freedom. The peace I have now is something I didn't even realize was possible. No more anxiety when my phone buzzes. No more walking on eggshells. No more bracing myself before family gatherings. No more feeling like love had a price tag attached. To the people who said, she's your sister, you should have helped. Helped how? By throwing away my home so she could go right back to maxing out her credit cards? By letting my parents manipulate me into another financial trap? By rewarding her for screwing up while I got punished for being responsible? Let me ask you something. If someone kept setting their house on fire over and over again, would you burn your own house down just to keep them warm? Because that's what you were asking me to do. I didn't cut off my family because they were struggling. I cut them off because they expected me to fix their struggles, no matter what it cost me. And when I said no, they tried to force my hand. That's not family. That's financial abuse. To the people who said, you'll regret this when they're gone, maybe. But I already regret all the years I let them treat me like a walking wallet. I regret every sacrifice I made for people who wouldn't even consider doing the same for me. You know what I won't regret? Not losing my home, not destroying my finances, not letting them manipulate me ever again. If they had ever once treated me like an actual person instead of a safety net, maybe things would be different. But they didn't. And I refuse to spend my life trying to earn love from people who only see me as useful when I'm giving them something. Final thoughts. A year ago, I walked away. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but I survived, and I'm happier than I've ever been. So if you're reading this and you're in the same boat, if your family only calls when they need something, if they guilt you into giving, if you feel like you have to help just because they're family, listen to me. You don't owe anyone your future. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep them warm. You're allowed to say no. And if that makes you the villain in their story, so be it. At least you'll finally be the hero in your own.